Jared Timms for coming back onto the podcast. Between the chalk lines, all baseball talk all the time. You sit here, it's eat, sleep, baseball, repeat in my life, in my head. That's all it is for me, baseball all the time. So Jared, thank you. This is not our usual podcast. We've had Jared on once. It was minor league baseball talk. So this is gonna be minor league baseball talk again. Last week I had Stephanie Chomplewski talking about both Chicago teams in that spring breakout game that didn't happen. It got rained out, unfortunately, but it was sunny with a little bit of drizzle for the Angels versus Dodgers. Were you excited? Because I know you covered all Angels minor league baseball and Dodgers minor league baseball, Jared, for this game.
I I'm never excited for the Angels to play the Dodgers just because the Dodgers absolutely just destroy the Angels on a regular basis. I post the stats on Twitter every time they play each other, and it gets worse and worse. But when it comes to minor leagues, yeah, I'm always excited to see the future and see what these two teams have. And oh man, the Dodgers tend, like any good team, they just continue to find good prospects. It's like the Astros. It's like the Yankees tend to keep producing good talent. The Padres were that way for a little while. Where it's just like, where are they getting these guys from? But yeah, man, the Dodgers. It's yeah, it's stupid. We talked about it. We just talked about it off the record. Dodgers do stupid things, and it just continues to happen, and it works out fantastic for them. So
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes stupid bad things, sometimes stupid good things, and like you said, how the Angel or the Dodgers always blow out the Angels. Unfortunately, it was that way at the breakout game. I think the Dodgers scored something like eight runs, and the Angels only scored one. So I don't blame the prospects for that. The Dodgers rolled out a lineup that had like three top 100 guys, and that was headlined by Dalton Rushing. You said last time was going to be traded at the deadline, and we just saw today. It's Wednesday, the 27th, or sorry, Tuesday, 27th. I have my days wrong. Will Smith just got extended for 10 years, $140 million. That's cheap if you think about it, and you know AAV, but is Will Smith going to last 10 years at the catcher position? Is the question, I think.
he's one of the best catchers in baseball right now. So $14 million a year for that's an absolute steal. So I'll save the deferral jokes for later here, but yeah,
Yeah,
um man, dude, like you just said, like we just said, Dodgers, not it isn't even like a stupid bad thing. It's just they just do stupid things, and it just is crazy to me. It's awesome. I love watching, especially compared to what the Angels do. It's fun to
yeah.
watch the Dodgers handle their business a different way. And that could be a whole different podcast, I'm sure. But yeah, jeez, come on. Then now you have the best. You have Mookie Betts for the next like 5 years left of his contract. You have Freddie Freeman for the next 5 years, Shohei Ohtani for the next 10 years, Will Smith for the next 10 years. Your pitching is young. You lose Walker Bueller. You're going to lose probably Clayton Kershaw, who's on the DL. But other than that, you just talked about the farm system. Who you saw a kid like Kendall George, and he was playing at Angel Stadium and
Yeah.
Dodger Stadium couple nights ago in the Freeway Series there. So yeah, they just continue to produce guys, whether it's offensively or defensively. And I'm sure I'm going to forget names, so your listeners are going to be like, "You forgot this guy, you forgot that guy." But yeah, they just
It's all right.
continue to do it, and it's a lot of fun. And Will Smith there for the next 10 years. That makes it even nicer. Now, can he catch for the next 10 years? I don't think he's had too many injuries. I don't think that he's gotten too much wear and tear on the knees, and to have a backup like Austin Barnes, and maybe down the road a kid like Dalton Rushings too, as your backup, not a bad thing. You don't have to you can DH him a little bit more, though that DH spot's kind of occupado for the next 10 years with Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he can probably play little bit of first base. I'm sure down the road he might be able to play some third base, a little corner outfield spot. Catchers are a lot more athletic than people think, but yeah, I mean, Will Smith is a stud.
Definitely. And the Dodgers, they have a lot more than just Dalton rushing. But I did want to say that I was 100%, no, 1,000% surprised with Flores on the Angels side. He started at catcher for the Spring Breakout game, and he
Is
looked beyond, like 10 years beyond his years. His 17 years young. He, it was crazy. I don't know what you were doing at 17 years old. I was probably cashier at some, fast food restaurant. Definitely not playing in pro baseball.
I, I was getting cut from my high school baseball team, so yeah,
Uh,
that's what I was doing.
yeah,
I wasn't playing professional baseball, and I wasn't catching for the Angels. So
yeah. You weren't catching a 20-year-old Caden Dana, who is, he dislikes the whole Noah Syndergaard comps with the hair, but he's a totally different pitcher in all aspects, I think. And he did look very dominant in, I think, the 2 innings that they had him out there. Um, what did you think of Dana on the bump and
I mean,
Flores?
I think so. Starting with Flores, just having a conversation with somebody about this a couple days ago, and I think if Logan O'Halpy doesn't stick around after in 5 6 years, whatever it is, I think he's the future behind the plate for the Angels. And I'll continue to say this, and it might not be an overwhelming name, but it's a good defensive catcher name. He reminds me a lot of Martin Maldonado. And
Okay.
I'll continue to put that comp out there until he proves me otherwise. He's beyond his age when it comes to the defensive side of things. The bat may need to work self out a little bit, but defensively, I mean, he's so good. And talking to Kenny Rosenberg, he was like,
Oh,
"What?" Yeah, he's like, "I didn't even know this kid was 17, 18 years old until now. Like you wouldn't know." So yeah, that's kind of the influence that he's making on this staff right now. So I'm excited to watch him this year. I think so he might be in low A this year, and that'll be a lot of fun to see what he does in Inland Empire. And then man, Caden Dana's special, man. I It's not just the hair that reminds me of Noah Syndergaard, though. He pitches like Noah Syndergaard too. If you side by side him, and they pitch similar too. So, and it's not a bad comp to have. Noah Syndergaard was a top five prospect in baseball for the Blue Jays and Mets for the longest time. So, um, yeah, there aren't too many guys that I've seen pitch in the minors, and right away I'm like, I'm gonna top five this guy on my prospect list. He's one of them for sure. Along with Walker Bueller, who I saw in Inland Empire, Corey Seager, and guys like that. So yeah, Caden Dana has a chance to be special and be around this rotation for the Angels for a long, long time. So
and as far as pitchers on the other side for Dodgers, one play in particular stood out um, for me. Robleski was pitching at the time. I forgot who was hitting, but it was just a little bit of a dribbler to second, kind of in the middle between second and the pitching mound. And Robleski goes and just dashes over there, sliding on his knees, picks it up with one hand and throws it to first like it was nothing. Gets up, goes back to the mound, and they were just raving on the broadcast about his athleticism. And not only that, but he was also pitching really well. And that was not a name that I had even heard of before I went to the game. So, do you have anything on Robleski?
no, like they say, pitchers are athletes too for sure. But yeah, no, I mean 11th round pick couple of years ago, 2021. Um, JUCO kid kind of went around, went to Clemson as well.
Mm.
It's nothing too crazy though. The Dodgers just do really good things. He's anywhere from 90 to 96, can kick it up to 98 miles an hour at times. Has a decent slider, decent curveball, mixing the changeup too. But I think the biggest thing that you pointed out is, I mean, he's an athlete. That's what a lot of people look for, and that's what makes pitchers go from good to great, and what good organizations like the Dodgers
Yeah.
can really do to athletes and pick out certain things. So, am I surprised that he's pitching well? Absolutely not. Is it a household name?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But it's definitely a name to keep an eye on down the road here, because he may be a starting pitcher here in the next 2-3 years for the Dodgers.
Yeah, and I know we talked about how Dodgers have locked down the designated hitter spot, first base, infield with Mookie Betts. He's playing all over the place now. Their shortstop for the time being. We'll see how long that lasts, but that's where he's going to be. And Josue DePaula, he was really good. He was really fun to watch. The Freeway series to finish up spring training, so um, they obviously really liked him if they kept him in Major League camp for the entire spring training.
Yeah, no, he's definitely somebody who's probably going to be a future piece for them. And again, somebody like Roboski, like you just mentioned, didn't sign for a lot. Was somebody who signed for about $400,000 out of the Dominican Republic, but has really developed well for the Dodgers, and they've continued to do really good things with those guys. So I'm a huge fan of him.
Anyways, yeah. So moving back from DePaula, speaking of outfielders, uh, obviously Angels were headlined by Nelson Rada. Uh, he was the first man up to bat and got a hit in his first at bat. I think that was also his only hit during the game. But I mean, we've seen a lot throughout the entire spring training from Rada. A lot of people want him to be up in the majors very quickly. We have to remember he's only 18 years old. He's still a teenager, and I know people are gonna say, "But Trout was like 19. He was, 20 years old, 19." But Nelson Rada is not Mike Trout, and he's still got a bit of of ways to go. Obviously, he just finished in uh, a ball last year. MVP, stole like 50 plus bags. It was crazy. He had a crazy good year. We also have to see where he's going to be after this year, I think, before we make any crazy moves. Uh,
Yeah, I'm excited to see where he starts the season off, to be honest. Are they going to put him in Double A and push it? We already know Caden Dana's starting in Double A, and actually, I guess probably by the time this podcast come out, we might already know. But yeah, it'll be for me interesting to see where he starts and how he looks too, because um, high A or low A and Inland Empire, you're going to see a lot of fastballs. You really will. I thought this spring he handled off speed really well, which is a
mm,
big step in his progression. And that's where in the high A and double A he's going to see a lot more of those challenging pitchers that do that type of thing. So yeah, I'm excited for the progression. Give him time to develop. There's still some missing pieces there, but man, he's special for sure.
yeah, and it's not just at the plate. He's still a really really good guy with the glove. He takes good routes, gets good jumps. He's good out in center field. So he could be the next Mike Trout. Could be. It's just will he be in an Angel uniform? There's that question too. Is it going to be another Edgar Cuero, Kai Bush kind of deal where try and trade for someone at the deadline? I hope not, because I really do want to see Nelson Rada in Angels Red. Um, but bringing it back in, I'm talking about more plays. Someone that surprised me was Denzer Guzman. Guzman at short. I saw this, firsthand. I was on the third baseline. So a ball came at him. He tried to get it real quick with the glove. It bounced off the glove. He got it with the hand on the other side and still had time to get the runner at first. So he's got the arm strength, obviously, to play short or third if needed. Uh, and that's what they're saying in the reports is if his bat doesn't, come around, um, or if he doesn't develop as fast as they want, they might just put him at third base, possibly. And obviously, we all know what Angels fans feel about Anthony Rendon, and he's still got a few more years on his contract. And I think it's going to take a few more years before Guzman makes it to the majors, if at all.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Denzer Guzman. You hit it right on the nose there, man. Like, it does the bat come around? There's a lot to like in that bat for sure, and in that frame. Um, you mentioned the arm strength that about being a shortstop and a third baseman. He could be a pitcher too if you really wanted him to. I mean, he could probably hit low to mid 90s there. So no, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I've seen him pitch and just for fun, and it's not bad.
It's
So
crazy.
yeah, he's an athlete. He's really good. Yeah, the question has always been with Denzer is he gonna hit enough?
Okay.
Um, and it's almost, is he gonna hit enough to play third base? You don't have to be a great hitter to play shortstop. That's where the gloves got to come into play and the good arm. And I think that he has a better chance of sticking at shortstop with the current bat than anything. But I mean, we're talking about the difference between being an Andrew Velasquez type of guy where, he's up and down between AAA and the majors and, the 200 hitter, or being a superstar. Because I mean, you already mentioned it, the glove, the arm, it's going to play. It's going to play. It comes down to the bat. And you can say the same thing about Zach Neto, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
the biggest question with Zach Neto is the back going to play? We know he can play short. Like that's not a question for me. It's is the back going to play, and is he going to be your 9 hole hitter, or is he going to be somebody that you can rely on in the 4, 5, 6 hole? So yeah, I mean, I really like Denzer Guzman though. I got to see a lot of him in Inland Empire, and he's a real fun player and a really fun human being as well.
and he was really actually a really nice. Speaking of, the whole breakout initiative was to have more player and fan interaction. And what they did at Temple Diablo was, Dodgers players signed on one side, their dugout, and Angels signed down the line on first base. And the last guy I got was Guzman as he was going into the dugout, and talked to him real quick. He's a really nice guy, like you said. So fan friendly, great glove, defense. The bats is a question mark. Um, Bat is obviously not a question mark yet for Rada. Um, any other? I mean, the last name that I had on my mind that was a really surprising name for me was Urania, a pitcher for Angels. Wrapped up the game for them, and he was hitting mid 90s, I think, high 90s, with his fastball. And I had no idea with who this guy was. I was like, "Who's Urania?" And he was really surprising. Had decent control, not perfect, but for where he is and being a non-ranked, I believe, prospect, really good.
Yeah, Walbert's really interesting. Walbert Urania is. I I saw him early on in the season in Inland Empire, and I was like, "There's velocity there. That's good." There was a lot made about him at the beginning of 2022 because there was this kid in Arizona hitting triple digits, and nobody knew who it was, and it was Walbert Urania. And this report came from somebody at MLB. I forgot who it was. But somebody at MLB, and they were like, "Hey, this is, he's hitting 100 miles an hour. We got him clocked at 100. Not a nice, good changeup. Like, doesn't have really a slider." I go watch him in Inland Empire. I kind of see the exact opposite. It's like fastball command, yet like not really there. I wasn't all that impressed. Later on in the season, though, of last year, I was told go watch it again. Watch it again because there's something there. Sliders
Yeah,
completely, and he brings in that sweeper. The fastball's moving, the command's there. Something changed mid-season last year for Walbert Urania that made him a much better pitcher, and he's very, very interesting. He's somebody that, and I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday too about it. If he's not in the rotation for you, which it comes down to command, he could be a back end reliever. And he reminds me a lot of Yordano Ventura. Rest in peace there. But he reminds me a lot of him. Smaller statue, throws absolute gas, kind of has a little chip on his shoulder. You side by side them as well. They're very similar. So yeah, I'm in on Walbert Urania. I really like what he can do. And I'm interested to see where he starts the season and how he progresses this year too. So
Yeah, and like you said, that's the sweeper slash slider with the fastball. And for me, it's really, can he add a third pitch to his repertoire? Can he add a changeup? Can he add a cutter or a two seam before you even think about putting him in a rotation? For right now, like you said, a Ventura kind of guy where he's maybe in the bullpen. Um, Sadly, I met Ventura, so I kind of brought back memories of talking to him and getting autographs from him when he came to Angel Stadium several years ago, uh, back when he was still alive. Yeah, I would like to see him progress, and I didn't know that about Wilbert being under the radar. Literally, I mean, like, who throws triple digits and isn't known
when
nowadays?
when the Angels signed him, I want to say it was around the COVID year too. So
Okay.
that's one of the reasons why it slid under the radar a little bit. But I mean, he wasn't throwing hard. It was probably like 91, 93, maybe could hit 95. All of a sudden takes that jump up. That's what you're looking for with a lot of these international guys. And I don't want to go off on a rant, is like, who are those guys that you think are going to take that next step? And Angels, honestly, you get lucky with a guy like Walbert Urania, right? Like, you don't expect somebody who's maybe 6 feet tall and 170 pounds soaking wet to throw 100 miles an hour, right? So every once in a while, you got to get lucky with a guy, and Walbert Urania might be that guy. And hey, we're talking about him right now.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely talking about him right now. And I think the last guy that I wanted to mention was going back to the Dodgers side, Jackson Ferris, who you talked about, and you said you wanted the Angels to draft him a few years ago, but he ended up with the Cubs and then is now with the Dodgers in that Michael Bush trade that happened a few weeks ago to a month ago or so. Um, he did fantastic in his little outing that he had. Uh, where do you think he's going to start this year?
I think he finished the season last year in Double A, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he finished in High A. I'd have to look at that. But yeah, I mean, dude, with the Dodgers, you just never know. This kid he might end up being a top 100 prospect if he's not already.
Yeah,
A top 50 prospect for all we know, because the sky's the limit for for a kid like this. High school draftee, throws hard, you know, yeah, good command, has good secondary pitches. So yeah, it'll be fun to watch him wherever he is, because I'm sure he's going to get, anytime you get traded for a top prospect, and anytime that you get traded um, in general, you got the spotlight on you. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see, because I mean, you already mentioned it, Edgar Caro, Kai Bush. We still watch those guys to see what they're going to do and see,
mm,
hey, was the Lucas Giolito trade a good trade or was it a bad trade? So yeah, it'll I'm a big Jackson Ferris fan. I'm gonna always continue to root for him, and hopefully he continues to pitch well. And he looked good too.
yeah, he did. He did. And then obviously they have other guys like Gavin Stone. They have Hurts. They have a lot of pitchers in their top 10 that could end up possibly being in the rotation or the bullpen sometimes very soon, uh, sooner than we expect sometimes. Injuries happen here and there, and guys that are performing get called up a lot sooner than we expect. We saw it with Shanuel last year. We saw it with Neto. But that's the Angels. And speaking of guys that get called up really quickly, is there anyone that you think might get called up quickly with Angels this year? I mean, it seems like, and you asked this question on Twitter, would who was going to get take the last bench spot? And I said Sano, and they announced yesterday Sano was going to get that last bench spot. So I was, yes, got it. I knew it. I believed in Sano the entire time. I had to. I mean, that's an awesome comeback story. We'll get to that another day. Um, Back to the point was, is there anyone in the Angels system that you see who could make the jump to the major leagues that we don't
Uh,
expect?
um, yes and no. I mean, you could with the Angels pulling guys up from Rocket City. I mean, insert any name
Yeah,
from Rocket City, and I'd be like, yeah, sure, that makes a lot of sense. Um,
Dana's there. He's gonna be at Rocket City.
Dane is going to be in Rocket City. Jack Hanowitz is going to be there. I mean, Camden Minacci is going to be there, who we didn't talk about, but pitched really well in the breakout game. My guy, and I'm going to continue to say he kind of reminds me a little bit of Kelvin Caceres, and he didn't pitch in the spring breakout game at all. Is Cedric Franco? He touches triple digits. He touched triple digits down in low A last year. If he can get the command to work, he's got a little sweeper in the works, so we'll see if that continues to develop. But if he does, he starts the season in high A, takes that very similar Kelvin Caceres route last year, where pitches well in Tri City. They push him up to Rocket City, and anything happens in Rocket City, you just don't know. You know, you get a kid throwing 99 to 101 in Double A with a nice little slider, and all of a sudden you're pitching in the majors, and you started the season in high A. So that's going to continue to be my name this year to keep an eye on, just because the fact that he throws really stinking hard. Um, but yeah, honestly, I mean, wouldn't surprise me if we saw a couple injuries or maybe a trade at the deadline and Caden Dana was up pitching come July.
Yeah,
If he pitches
possibly.
Jack Hanowitz out of the bullpen maybe, or somebody like that. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting names. I mean, everybody's calling for Nelson Rada, right? I mean, if he starts in Double A and shows that he can hit off speed and hits for a little bit of power, I mean, there's not a lot of spots in the outfield right now, but
No, no.
come August, you never know, right?
Yeah, and speaking of that, actually, it was really not surprising, but interesting to see Jake Marisnick take the assignment to AAA and not opt out of his contract. So I think there's a little bit of maybe wondering if the Angels will drop Joe Dell at some point or trade him away or just put him on waivers and someone else will pick him up. Because, like you said, the outfield is extremely just packed out with names. You got Taylor Ward in left field. You got Mike Trout in center field. You got Aaron Hicks slash Mickey Moniak in right field. And then you have Joe Dell. So you have four outfielders. And you're still, Mickey Moniak is still a question mark. He had a decent year last year. And I know he's not technically a prospect, but he's still pretty young in his major league career. So, we can only hope the best for Mickey Moniak and Joe Adele, but there, Nelson Rod is climbing that ladder, and if he comes knocking, they're gonna make some space for him.
I mean, we've been asking who's Mike Trout's replacement for the longest time. I mean, I mean, who to start out off as? Jordan Adams,
Yeah, Jordan
it could
Adams.
be Moniak. It could be, I mean, it might be Nelson Rada for all we know. I mean, is that the guy that moves Mike Trout out of center field? Maybe. We'll wait and see. Plus, you never know who the Angels draft.
Exactly.
That could be the guy too. So, yeah, we'll definitely see. But yeah, man, the outfield's packed at the moment. So I want to see Joe Adell get a chance though, because he's really never gotten a chance with the Angels, full chance, let's say. I mean, he's
Yeah,
gotten some opportunities, but we know what he can do in the minors. But I want to see him do it in the majors. So
exactly. And just a quick, back up to the draft. I don't want to get too deep into it, but are you hearing anything as far as what the Angels might be looking at for in June or July, whenever the draft is happening this year?
I, I I have this conversation on a weekly basis after college games. So you look at trends, and there isn't somebody that's like who the Angels have drafted, which is a small school guy. There's not going to be, I don't think there's going to be that guy there. I don't think there's going to be that overachieving small school player.
Okay.
Um,
So no University of Ohio kind of guy.
no, I don't see it happening. You never know. You never know, right? But I don't see it happening at the moment. No one's really stood out from those small schools that it's like, wow, Nolan Shanuel or wow, Zach Neto, or even Sam Bachman, right? Those are all
Yeah.
small schools. Um, so that trend I think is definitely gonna stop. I think they go college bat, unless I mean you can't. It's gonna be hard to pass up a guy like Chase Burns. I'll tell you that. But the draft that let's just right now, Charlie Condon and Travis Bonanza 1-2. Anybody after that, take your pick. And for me, as long as it's not Tommy White, I'm okay with anybody. I'm not a huge Tommy White fan, but anybody else I'm cool with.
Okay. What's wrong with Tommy White? Let me
Um,
know.
I've said don't pick this guy for not Tommy White, but I've said the past three drafts, just don't pick this guy. And the Angels have picked that guy twice, so they'll probably end up taking Tommy White. But Tommy White, for me, first round, I'm not taking somebody that can only play. He's probably a first base, and he's probably more of a DH guy. I'm
Okay.
not building around that type of guy. Nolan Shanuel was very similar to that. It's like, sure, he's got the hit tool, and he's proven me wrong, and I'm all for it. But I'm not taking a first baseman in the draft. Plus, he's a first baseman, and the Angels took Nolan Shanuel last year. So
Yeah.
Angels don't need that guy. Don't need that guy. Not that you're ever going to draft for need. Um, but for me, I'm just not a big Tommy White fan. I think that he'd be a very good if the Angels can get him in the second round, I'm all for it. But I'm not with it there in the first round. Plus, there'll be somebody better there than Tommy White in the first round for him. So
I'm
we'll.
sure.
I'm excited for this draft because this is a fun draft for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So in a couple months, uh, we'll definitely talk in between that, the draft and now. But maybe we can have draft talk. We'll do a podcast with a couple people and talk about the draft.
I am all for it. I'm always for it. I love talking minor leagues and the draft, man. You know that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, again, uh, Spring Breakout Game, Dodgers versus Angels at Tempe Diablo. That was March 16th, I want to say it was, in Arizona. Thank you for talking prospects, minor leagues, and more. Jared Timms can be found on Jared_Timms on the Twitter. He is always talking. He's always asking questions. It's always breaking news that I can never break. So go follow him. Give him a follow. You know, you have any shout outs for today? I know last time you didn't want to shout out Nate Green, I believe it was.
Yeah, we're not shouting out Nate Green,
Or
that's
not
for
shouting
sure.
out Nate Green. All right.
Uh, we're not shouting out Nate Green. That's for sure. No, but yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, I love talking baseball. I love talking Angels. So anytime you want to have me on, please just shoot me a message. I'm all for it. I'll make time for you.
All right. I appreciate it. Talk to you next time. That's it. Catch this episode every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern. Between the chalk lines. I will see you next time.